After 1999, the landscape of low-budget movies changed, especially horror, all thanks to a little film called The Blair Witch Project that ushered the found footage genre onto our screens.
Oh no! Oh God!
That is one big pile of shit.
As an avid moviegoer and found footage enthusiast, a couple of years ago I stumbled on a Norwegian horror film about trolls, a unique concept that, surprisingly enough, only has less than a handful of feature-length films depicting these creatures, the most recent being Netflix's Troll. Today, let's take a small look at one of my favorites of the genre, André Øvredal's beloved 2010 mockumentary, Trolljegeren. The film follows three students of Volda University as they try making a documentary investigating a chain of mysterious bear killings in their town. All signs point to Hans, a man the locals think is poaching bears at night. The students get way more than they bargained for after stalking him for days only to discover that he's Norway's finest when it comes to troll hunting. The plot remains fairly simple throughout, with no big world-ending revelations or convoluted insight on the trolls' origin. That said, it is a film about hunting mythical creatures, so you know there's gonna be a lot of exposition. Amazingly, the film's strongest aspect comes from how it delivers all the lore and information needed.
Impossible.
There are only two main exposition dumps, but they use the film's format to their advantage, even then feeling earned because the film has already gathered all the information during the hunting scenes and is now just giving short additional explanations.
Nice.
Every time we learn about the titular trolls, it's in action while we're stalking, hunting, running, and moving the plot forward. Believe me when I say this movie teaches you a lot about trolls and puts more effort than needed into making them a part of our world. The trolls themselves feel like they came out of a fairy tale, respecting Nordic folklore in their depiction with great character designs for each different type. The film also boasts an enormous amount of setup and payoff done so subtly you might miss some on your first viewing. It does a lot to reel you into the mystery and just like the characters leaves you curious for more. All this praise doesn't mean the film isn't without issue, most of which stem from how absolutely stupid the students are. Let's follow a dangerous armed man into the woods at night. What could possibly go wrong? Hans should also be a bit more transparent on safety instructions before throwing 3 people at the feet of monsters. The second main issue is pacing. Despite being only 100 minutes long, some scenes feel like they could be trimmed or cut entirely. A huge chunk of them are the road trip scenes, which I'll talk a bit more about later. Other than that, the film remains a smartly written, unique horror comedy that everyone can appreciate if you're able to move past the found footage barrier that I know most have. On the character side, we mostly spend time with Johanna, Thomas, and of course this fucking Giga Chad, Hans. The cameraman, Kale, can literally be replaced by a floating camera and it wouldn't have an impact, personality-wise of course. Because hey, nobody really cares about the camera operator in found footage films as long as someone keeps it rolling. Johanna and Thomas sort of mesh into one as they both share the whimsical childlike enthusiasm of finding out trolls are real and don't realize the dangers of troll hunting until the final act. They feel more like hollow shells during the first 2 acts so the audience can insert themselves in their place, more so Johanna than Thomas as he plays a larger role throughout. Nonetheless, the acting is incredibly decent, managing not to bore you, with both of them even cracking some of the funniest jokes of the film. Hans, on the other hand, is a goddamn star. Imagine older Indiana Jones switched career paths and started hunting trolls in Norway. That's Hans. An ex-commando turned Trolljegeren because fuck it, there was a job opening. He's a no-nonsense man who doesn't kill trolls to protect the public, but does so because he has a job to do, even though he's incredibly fed up about it. Hans is not only a pleasure to watch in action, but is by far the most fleshed out character as we learn more about him and his worldview with every subsequent scene, done justice by the talented Otto Jespersen stealing the screen every time he's on. Surprisingly enough, the film has no score, prioritizing natural noise to make the found footage aspect more authentic, which does work to its advantage, coupled with eerie sound design when it comes to the trolls and their portrayal, really selling how disgusting they are and how terrifying it would be encountering one in utter darkness. On the cinematography side, there's lots of shaky cam. No, seriously. Don't you just love found footage? On the one hand, the found footage / mockumentary format does work to its advantage when it comes to delivering exposition in small interviews sprinkled throughout, equally elevating tension when the group finally encounters trolls in the pitch black forests and caves, really taking the time to build up anticipation accompanied by the sound design. On the other hand, the film would have benefited immensely if those were the only times the found footage style was used, because other than that there are long periods where we're just staring at roads, rocks, mountains and power lines, suffering through constant camera shakes even when you're trying to concentrate on one person. You know, basic found footage movie problems. Jesus guys, have you never heard of a tripod? If there had been a blend of traditional and mockumentary formats, I think we'd have ended up with a more concise end product, devoid of the aforementioned problems. When it comes to the trolls, a lot of effort was put not only into showing the audience the sheer gargantuan sizes of all different types of creatures, but no two encounters ended up being the same, repeatedly changing scenery after each hunt, managing to keep the overall look fresh. Sometimes it genuinely feels like this film is just a showcase of how beautiful Norway is to bring in tourists, probably to feed us to the trolls. In the end, Trolljegeren is a film I always enjoy rewatching and would recommend to lovers of found footage or monster movies, as it remains a unique experience over 10 years later, sprinkled with some funny dry humor, great special effects, a simple script that manages to pull off some interesting subtle beats, and most of all, Hans. What a fucking Chad. It's not the most riveting or complex film that tries juggling themes with multi-layered character work. It's a simple film about a couple of students, and Hans, going into the wilderness and killing trolls. Short, funny, and entertaining.
Why problem make when you no problem have you don't want to make? Goodbye.
Thank you all for watching and sticking around this long. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do subscribe and drop a like if you did, and hopefully, I'll see you all next time.